you are like me and know that free enterprise is the greatest opportunity in the world, but you also see there are huge issues starting to arise, like why is mentorship decreasing in popularity? Why do entrepreneurs like us who love to succeed see people fail at the top and never leave true significance? And how do people like us make a lasting impact on the world, and is it possible for enough entrepreneurial leaders together to make a real difference? These are the blaring questions, and this podcast is the answer. Journey with me, your host, Christian. Together we will challenge the status quo and conquer our legacies.
What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for joining Journey with Christian D. Evans podcast. I am your host, Christian D. Evans, and I just want to share with you something today. It's going to be kind of short, very quick, to the point. You know, one of the things I was looking at is I always was, I want success, right? I want significance. I want to really make a name for myself and who I am, right? I'm not going to be, ashamed of it. I'm going to go out there and I want to do something great with my life. I want to impact millions and billions of people and help, raise the next generation of men and women that go out there and leaders that go out there and also make a huge impact. Well, one of the things I look at sometimes is I wonder sometimes, what does it take? What sacrifices? I know you have to have disciplines, and I know you have to have sacrifices. I mean, we all know we have to sacrifice, watching a movie and watching, this and that, and smoking and going out partying with your friends. You sacrifice that. But also, I wonder, do you have to sacrifice the most important, like your family? Your wife, your husband, your spouse. That relationship with your kids. I mean, you have to sacrifice that to really, truly make an impact. And I tell you straightforward, I disagree. I see so many individuals that, the top 5 wealthiest people in the world have had a divorce at some point. Bill Gates has just joined that kind of entourage. You look at Elon Musk, he's had a divorce. Jeff Bezos, he had a divorce. Bill Gates has had a divorce. And the French billionaire, I forget his name, but he's also had a divorce. And I look at this and I say, is that what it takes? You have to give up that. And I just disagree, because I've known a lot of billionaires that have had an incredible marriage. Now they're passed and gone, or one of their spouses are passed and gone, but they've incredible marriages. Now, I don't really relate everything to a specific marriage, but I do emphasize that quite a bit, because when I look at this, is I find it interesting, because you can gain an incredible success and achievement in billionaire status, multi-millionaire status, but then you lose the relationship with your kids, or lose relationship with your wife or spouse and husband. And I just sit there and say, is it possible to truly make an impact in the world? Do something significant, but yet still have that incredible relationship? And I just say it is very possible. You have to be very intentional with it. Now, what do I mean by intentionality? Well, it takes work. Most of us, we go and work 8 to 5. We spend all of our best days, weeks, months, years of our life at a job or even on a business. And then we give our leftovers to our spouses, and then we say, well, why don't you make me feel like you used to? And because you're not giving everything that you have. You have to be intentional with that relationship, intentional with date nights, intentional with, sexual activities, intentional with, just hugging, and intentional with, that intimacy. And so one of the things that my wife and we've done, now I'm not going to sit here and say we have the best marriage. A while back, we were very close and actually getting divorced, and we went through some tough spots there, and I just thought this is not going to last, and she thought it was not going to last, but somehow we pushed through. She forgave me and I forgave her, and we built incredible relationship, and now we're rock and rolling. But I just want to share with you, just through authenticity, that it's tough out there. Definitely within today's world and culture, where it's like, okay, it's okay to divorce, and it's a way out. Maybe just not meant to be. But then there's a commitment level, and so one of the things my wife and I be very intentional is when she comes home, I make sure, and when I come home, we sit there for the first few seconds, few minutes, even few seconds really. It's nothing too long, but we sit there and we hug each other. Nothing too sexual. It's just a hug, just holding each other. And that builds us really close in relationship-wise. Yes, we watch movies. We have some fun. We watch a little Netflix here. We watch a little Netflix there. We watch a little, Amazon Prime, whatever, right? But the thing is we don't sit there and our life surrounds that. Not every evening do we sit there and watch a movie. Not every evening do we sit there and like, oh gosh, what's going on? And we have a conversation about fictional characters. And I see so many people, definitely in my family sometimes, where they're talking about fictional characters. Oh, did you watch this new movie? Did you watch that? Oh, and that is what we're talking about. We're not talking about making an impact in people's lives. We're not talking about bigger things because there's so much more to be talking about. And I just find it very interesting because, and I just want to share this with you. We'll talk about that significance and other things that we can talk about and dream big. But the biggest thing right here is that, yes, you can achieve significance and success without giving everything up. And sometimes we think we have to give that up. We have to give up relationships because you look at the work ethic. I got to work hard. I got to stay home late. I got to do whatever I got to do. But I just want to share with you because, see, I've realized very quickly that, see, you can't build a fire unless you have a spark. And a fire. You can't go in there and say, I want a fire, and then I'm going to start collecting wood and then put the work in and build a spark. Now you gotta put this work in. And that's what it means. My wife and I, we read a book together. Now I do an audio book and she does, a physical book because that's how we do it. But the great thing is that we come back together and we talk about it and say, oh yeah, what'd you think about that? Blah, 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 and do. And we talk about this stuff. Why? Because it's important in our relationship because we're actually talking about bigger things. And then we say, okay, you know what? There's a huge situation with something that we align with. Maybe it might be kids, maybe it might be dogs, maybe it might be something, but then we give back our time and energy. And we do that together. Why? Because it's intentionality. We talk, we have conversations, we have fun, we laugh. Why? Because it is extremely important. So I just want to share with you, in order to have that great life, that great marriage, that great kids, you have to be intentional. What I realize is like, anybody can have a kid, but you have to, in order to raise great kids, you have to be intentional at the beginning. You only have people really for the first 10, 12 years. And then after that, they become stubborn and blah, blah, blah. And, they don't want to learn. And you have 12, 14, 15, maybe 16, 18 years before they start really rebelling and saying, no, I don't want to listen to you and whatever. But they're actually humble enough to learn. And so you just have to be intentional. And that's something I learned from John Maxwell. I was listening to one of his seminars, and he was talking about intentionality. You have to be intentional. You have to actually do it with purpose. Otherwise, if you don't do things with purpose, life will just go through. Life will just go by, and you'll start realizing you don't have kids that are self-disciplined. You don't have kids that will actually produce and develop something. You don't have a team that's going out there and producing. You don't have a business that's producing and developing because you are the weakest link. And that's what you have to realize. Yes, it takes discipline, but also, yes, it takes sacrifices, but certain things you don't have to sacrifice. Now, sure, at the beginning, yes, but don't let that be the rest of your life, because you have to realize you're doing it for a reason. And many of us, we say that. Oh, I'm building this business because I do it for my kids, and I'm walking away from whatever because for my kids. But you've got to spend time with your kids. And it doesn't have to always be quantity. It doesn't have to be 7 days a week, 365, just boom, spending all my time with my kids. Maybe it might just be on the weekends, but when you're on the weekends, you're there. You put your damn phone away and you spend time with your wife. You spend time. That's something that I am very guilty on. I'm always doing something, listening to something, whatever. And I realize that I miss opportunities with my wife. And I realize, I don't have kids, but I realize those are missed opportunities that will be gone forever. And you don't want to be in that situation. So again, just join our podcast, Journey with Christian D. Evans podcast. These are just certain random thoughts that I talk about throughout the week, but also things that I'm learning on a consistent basis. And I just want to share with you, I know Bill Gates, he just recently had a divorce. And so I just wanted to share that with you because, see, I just amazed by how many people what his situation is. How many individuals, they achieve everything and then they just lose it all. There's no significance. And that's one of the reasons why we talk about this stuff on podcasts. Like, how do you achieve this? Well, you don't go out there and become successful and then spend more time with your wife. You spend more time with your wife, and that balances you. You spend more time with your husband and your kids, and that balances you. And then you become more successful and significant, and then you can teach others to do the same. Guys, just enjoy that little podcast, Journey with Christian D. Evans podcast. If you like this, share this with all your friends and family and your team workers and everybody else. But other than that, I will talk to you soon. Have an awesome week. Cheers.